Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Carter, and I'm president of the Chicago Transit Authority. And it's a distinct pleasure to welcome Secretary of the U.S. Department of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, to the 95th Street Band. It is also an honor to welcome Mayor Lightfoot, Senator Duckworth, Senator Dept, as well as members of the Illinois Congressional delegation and other elected officials and community leaders who are joining us here today. The station here at 95th Street is a jewel in the CTA ground. The original terminal was built during the Nixon administration, and the station was completely rebuilt and expanded in 2019. It is not only one of the busiest CTA rail stations, but also the busiest customers, serving city and suburban buses as well as the Greyhound buses. The $280 million project, the largest station project in CTA history, would not have been possible without the more than $100 million of federal funding we received from the U.S. Department of Transportation. But this is more than just a rail station. It represents one of the largest investments in Chicago's far south side in decades. It created scores of jobs in an underserved community, and it provided unprecedented opportunities for small and local businesses. Perhaps most importantly, it will also serve as the gateway to the extension of the Red Line to 130th Street, a project that will bring fair and equitable transit access to the Chicago's far south side. The Red Line extension will remove decades-old barriers to opportunity and spur equitable economic development. Or to say differently, it will be a game changer for Chicago. Just a short time ago, I had the honor of speaking with the Secretary and Senators and the others standing here with me about the historic nature of the Red Line project and how its benefits will resonate for decades. We also spoke about how federal funding is actually critical to CTA's ongoing modernization, including our off-station accessibility program, which we refer to as ASAP, our plan to convert our buses fleet to all-electric vehicles, and our efforts to pursue equitable, transit-oriented development, which Mayor Lightfoot began in Iowa this summer, along with many other vital transit projects across the city. And let me be clear about this. Federal funding is the only way that CTA can continue to modernize the system that in some places is more than a century old. The only way we can continue to provide good-paying jobs to underserved communities and important business opportunities to small and minority-owned businesses. And the only way that we can reverse the disinvestment that has hampered the South Side for decades. I have always said that public transportation is more than just getting people from point A to point B. And an investment in transit benefits means much more than just the people who take it. I want to once again thank you, Mr. Secretary, for making the CTA part of your visit to Chicago, and also for your unwavering support of public transit. I also want to thank Senator Duckworth and Senator Durbin, as well as the rest of your colleagues in the Illinois delegation, for their never-ending and tireless advocacy for transit and for CTA specifically. And at this time, it is my pleasure to welcome the Mayor of the City of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot.
Senior Senator Durbin, Senator Duckworth, and I also want to give a special note of thanks to the members of Congress who are here. We work in partnership together on behalf of the people of our city, our region, and our state. Anytime we've ever needed anything, our delegation is there, ready, willing, and able to roll up our sleeves and being proactive and asking us what more do we need as a city and as a region to make sure that our residents have the opportunities to thrive. So thank you very much, one and all. I want to thank our state partners. I want to thank the members of organized labor who are also here. We work in partnership with you. I don't need to tell you that this is a city that organized labor built. Strong, vibrant, and continues to be so. So thank you very much for all of your work. Today we are here to discuss one of the most critical resources to our communities, and that's our city's transportation infrastructure. Investing in public transit infrastructure residents rely on every day provides us with an important opportunity to improve their quality of life, improve our regional and national climate, and create high-quality, well-paying jobs and reduce commuting times and costs. This is something I know Secretary Buttigieg knows very well, not only from his life experiences, but as a former mayor himself right here in the Midwest. And something I'm thrilled to see being uplifted in President Biden's Build Back Better agenda, which absolutely has to have bipartisan support. As more and more cities across the country begin to reopen and residents return to work and play, as well as continue to prioritize the reduction of car congestion downtown and combating climate change, it is crucial that we work together to provide residents with access to public transportation systems that are both efficient and reliable. And let me take this moment also to say a special thanks to President Carter. I want to remind all of you that through the pandemic, the Chicago Transit Authority was the only public transportation system that ran at full steam. And why? Because our workers and our residents needed us, and we were there for them. So thank you, President Carter, for your incredible work. Making sure that our transportation system is ready and accessible to our residents is an effort that we take very seriously here in Chicago. Public transit is essential and has been to us through the pandemic. Our city long has been known as a hub for transportation infrastructure of all kinds, and that's no mistake. We boast a number of competitive advantages that make our city a place to be for residents and businesses alike. We are the transportation and economic infrastructure epicenter for all of North America, make no mistake about it. We are in close proximity to critical resources like fresh water, agricultural commodities, next generation technologies, and human capital. Our surface transportation system, which includes more than 120 CTA bus transfer routes, 145 CTA rail stations, Metro, PACE, and a major Amtrak hub, are all vital for our ability to keep this ecosystem running smoothly, making it all the more important that we constantly work to identify innovative and effective ways to maintain and invest in this system. Because when we do that, we're investing in our residents, we're investing in our employees, and we're creating economic opportunity for so many people. The 95th Street station that we're in, which Secretary Buttigieg and other elected officials had the pleasure of touring earlier today, provides one such opportunity. While this major bus to rail transfer point, which was completely rebuilt in 2019, is the furthest south on our current L system, it does not equally serve all of our south side communities. And we spent some time talking about just that and the opportunities that an extension would provide to the far south side, stretching all the way to 130th Street and bringing into the city Oak Elm Gardens, which I know is a big opportunity and interest of mine and others that are gathered here. That's why the CTA has long proposed an extension of the Red Line from this station to 130th Street, which would improve connectivity and access to the entire CTA's network, expand economic opportunity through connections to jobs, educational opportunities, housing, and other services, further our commitment to creating sustainable transportation and improve air quality, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and the list goes on and on. But the thing I want to say is this, and I shared this with the Secretary, it takes partnership. We have to have federal resources. But I want to be clear that with those federal resources, the city of Chicago itself will also have skin in the game. We know how, when we invest in the right ways, when we put people first, when we're intentional about making sure that development and investment doesn't mean displacement, how we unlock the potential of our communities and our neighborhoods. So we will always be there. We will be the partnership that our residents deserve. And so, Secretary, we're going to keep on lobbying and advocating, but trust that we will be doing the right thing on behalf of our residents to make sure that those federal dollars have catalytic and transformative effect on our city. So with that, I want to say again how grateful I am for the Secretary to be here today, for really thinking about the city of Chicago and what assets we have and how we can be a model for other cities across the country. I look forward to working even closer with you and your administration to transform the lives of Americans. And so let me thank you once again. And with that, I'd invite Congressman Rush up to say a few words. Congressman.
Good afternoon. I want to thank President Carter, Real Lightfoot, Merman, and Duckworth, and all of my colleagues from the House of Representatives. And most of all, I want to thank you, Secretary Buttigieg, for your visit. And I want to welcome you to the first Congressional District of Illinois. Mr. Secretary, as I said, when I waited from the conference room, I was so delighted and overjoyed when our President Biden, chose a Midwestern America to be the Secretary of Transportation, because that was a sign that he knew that how important transportation is and was, and he knew that if he wanted to get transportation correction, get infrastructure passed in our nation, then he had to rely on a Midwestern America to make it happen. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, I believe that this moment calls for bold investment in our nation's infrastructure. Investments that are sorely needed in the first district, in our state, and all across this nation. It is absolutely crystal clear to everyone that has an eye to see that decades of underinvestment have taken their toll on the quality of life in our community, particularly those disadvantaged communities, in the daily press and see homicide. But behind all those numbers is that have led to frustration among too many of American citizens. Mr. Secretary, for far too long, I've seen able-bodied men and women from this community standing aside idly and watching others from across the Midwest area, including your own state, coming into Chicago, doing work on public work projects, and not really receiving any of the economic benefits. And Mr. Secretary, I must declare that we're sick and tired of being sick and tired, that we're tired of getting all the delay associated with these public works projects, all the dust that's associated with these public works projects, and none of the dope. All the delay, all the dust, and none of the noise. Mr. Secretary, we have to bring all this to a screeching halt. You're probably aware, Mr. Secretary, that in Illinois there are 2,300 bridges and 6,200 miles of highways that are in poor condition throughout our state. Our state, our state of Illinois, has a C- grade in its most recent infrastructure report card. But makes me think of my grade that I got in trigonometry in high school, a C- grade. Mr. Secretary, it's about time. And that's why recently I was proud to secure more than $36.6 billion to expand electric vehicle infrastructure in the recently passed Investment in America Act. And Mr. Secretary, that's why I, for one, along with others who have gathered here, certainly appreciate your vision and President Biden's vision. And I really, really, really want to take my hat off to you, because not only do I appreciate your vision, I appreciate your courageous boldness that you bring to the table and the boldness of President Biden. Again, welcome to the First District of Illinois.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Rajesh Namorthy, and I just want to say Happy Infrastructure Week. Happy Infrastructure Friday. Finally we arrived. I want to say a special thank you to Secretary Buttigieg for visiting us. Of course, Mayor Lightfoot, President Carter, Senators Duckworth and Durbin, thank you so much, and all of my colleagues from the House, and of course the good men and women of the CTA and CFL. I just want to make two quick points. First of all, the American Jobs Plan is going to create millions of jobs. However, for people to take those millions of jobs, they need the skills to do so. And for them to have those skills, we need workforce development. I was the author of the modernization of our nation's skills-based education system, which has helped to better educate 11 million people in career, technical, and vocational education. And the Biden administration and Secretary Buttigieg are proposing to invest $100 billion over the next 10 years in this skills-based and vocational education system. That is crucial, and I hope the Senate and the House both pass that request and invest money in the people of Chicago to take these jobs that are going to be created through the jobs plan. Okay. Last point. CNBC actually just came out with a survey that awarded Illinois with top marks for infrastructure. In fact, it gave Illinois an A+ rating. My Asian American parents would be very proud of Illinois for that. However, the reason why we got top marks and an A+ rating is because of the A+ attitude of the city of Chicago, the CTA, the men and women who work here, the people at the CFL, and the cooperative attitude of the delegation working with the administration in helping to modernize our infrastructure. And to be honest, although we got that A+, I think there's work to do. And as someone from the suburbs, I know that we can't succeed unless the city of Chicago succeeds. We can't succeed unless the CTA succeeds. So I just want to say to all of you, the suburbs stand shoulder to shoulder with the city in getting the investment necessary to make the CTA and the city of Chicago the pinnacle of world-class infrastructure. So thank you so much. I'd like to now introduce our senior senator, Dick Durbin.
Mayor Lightfoot, it's great to be here. Secretary Buttigieg, thank you for coming today. You know, sometime this week there's going to be an important vote in the United States Senate. Senator Lightfoot and I are going to be there. There's going to be a bipartisan infrastructure bill, $1 trillion. And you know that bill is going to spend more on transit projects than any bill has ever spent in the history of the United States. That bill is going to spend more money on railway than any time since the creation of Amtrak. That bill is going to repair more bridges than have been repaired since the Interstate Highway Project was created by President Eisenhower so many decades ago. It's an amazing bill. It's a bill that Joe Biden has endorsed and we have endorsed. I believe we can pass on a bipartisan basis, and I know Secretary Buttigieg has been involved in writing that bill. I would like to compare that infrastructure bill with the infrastructure bill of the previous administration, but I can't, because there was no infrastructure program in the previous administration. What we face now is a challenge of not only building the infrastructure for the future, but meeting Joe Biden's challenge of providing from our generation the resources so that we can build America back better. We have a lot of work before us, Mr. Secretary. You've been given an awesome assignment. We know you're up to it. And we want to be partners with you in making that assignment a success. My thanks to organized labor, represented here. My thanks to the contractors, Norval Carter, and those who are working with the CTA. This is an amazing project. We are going to leave our imprint for the next generation. I'd like to call up my colleague, Senator Tammy Duckworth.
It's always rough following Dick Durbin to the podium. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I gotta say though, Mr. Secretary, you're not the first presidential candidate, former presidential candidate to come through here. I came through in Klobuchar in December of 2019, but it shows the importance of this project. It's really great to see all of us here today, because all of us know how much an infrastructure package would improve the lives of so many Illinoisans. Projects like this one are a great example of the impact that federal funding can have on our communities. To me, this 95th Street Red Line project isn't just about improving our infrastructure, though. It would have been reason enough to give it green light just for improving the infrastructure. But to me, this project is about making sure that more Chicagoans can lead the lives that they deserve. By making it easier for folks across the South Side to get to work more easily throughout the city, by promoting greater access for those of us with disabilities. And let me just say that the ASAP plan that we're using here on the CTA in order to make the entire CTA completely ADA compliant and wheelchair accessible, as was proposed by Mr. Carter, is now in this next infrastructure package. The proposal is there. I'm hoping that it stays in and gets passed, but it's going to make all legacy transit system across the nation wheelchair accessible, and it's long past time for that. This project, as already been mentioned, is going to create more good-paying union jobs for local workers, so that they can build the city back better, but also so that we can rebuild the middle class. Because we know America's fortunes, America's well-being depends on the well-being of the middle class. And the Biden administration and Senator Durbin and myself are going to make sure we continue to make investments in the middle class of this country. It also will make commutes safer, shorter, and more equitable in the process. But the work doesn't just stop here. Building back better means extending the CTA to reach even more of the South Side and to help connect thousands more Chicagoans to the rest of the city. It means investing in our transit systems to make all stations accessible. You know, we've come a long way, but our country is long overdue for comprehensive, bold infrastructure investments that boost our economy and help our working families. Roads and bridges are critically important, but so are locks and dams. So is our wastewater and drinking water. Chicago has more lead pipelines than any other part of the country, exponentially more lead pipelines, service lines in the nation. So as we work on roads and bridges, we're going to work on water so that you can have safe drinking water. We're going to make sure that there is Wi-Fi across the country. We have 22 million families in this country that do not have Wi-Fi access. It's really hard for a child to get ahead if they can't do their homework. For us to succeed if we start leaving the others behind. So we can't ignore the challenges like these and expect that our nation and our economy to truly thrive. Thank you again, Mr. Secretary, for joining us all here today. I really look forward to continuing to work with you on all of these projects. I sit on all of the infrastructure committees. That is an offer of help, not a threat. And we got it so clear enough. Secretary, which is our U.S. Try not to run over.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Senator, for your leadership. And I'm not just saying that because you're on the committees that oversee my work, although it doesn't hurt. But it's also so admirable, and I want to applaud the work particularly you've done on accessibility. As we marked one anniversary of the ADA, she's pointed out it shouldn't take until the 50th anniversary of the ADA to be able to say that a system is completely accessible. And that is part of the vision of the administration as well. Senator Durbin, member of the leadership in the Senate that is guiding this critically important bill toward passage. We can't wait for that vote for you and your colleagues to take. Mayor, it's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for your leadership. It has never been more demanding or more difficult or more important to be a mayor in America. Your leadership is nationally recognized. And I appreciate as a former mayor and as a very briefly former Chicago, the work that's going on here, the chance to see it firsthand. I want to thank all of the members of the House who were here. The House passed an extraordinary piece of infrastructure legislation, as well as that American Rescue Plan that's keeping operations like the CTA going. Representative Rush, thank you for the welcome to your district. Representative Garcia, I spoke to, really wanted to be here, was unable, but is here in spirit. Representative Newman, Representative Robin Kelly, Sean Caston, Congressman Quigley, Representative Foster, thank you for everything that you're doing. And I want to thank CTA President Orville Carter for sharing this with us, and also for everybody you represent, the essential workers. And I know we've got a lot of union leadership here today too. We didn't have a choice to work from home because lives depended and livelihoods depended on their coming to work every single day, and we are thankful for you and we support you in this administration. I've been thinking about a little bit of a number that CTA President Carter shared with me, which is the amount of time it takes to get from Altgeld Gardens to downtown Chicago. Residents there, in order to get to a job, he shared with me, have to take an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, in order to be able to get to work. Which, coincidentally, is about as much time as it takes if you happen to have a car to get from South Bend, Indiana, to the heart of Chicago. We have a suburb or a community next to South Bend called Roseland, Indiana. And I love Roseland, Indiana. But it should not take longer to get to a job in the heart of Chicago from the Roseland community in Indiana, 90 miles east of here. And this extension is going to change that. To be here in an administration that is prioritizing safety, climate, jobs, equity, and a view to the future in our transportation policy. There's no better place to talk about infrastructure than Chicago. Infrastructure made Chicago because Chicago made infrastructure. And when around here they were proposing to do things like invent the floating foundation that makes it possible to have a skyscraper, or to take the river and basically make it roll uphill, I'm sure some people back then were wondering if that was so-called traditional infrastructure too. It may not have been traditional at the time, but it created on and that fuels an entire region. And we've got to support that with good policy. We've got to support the safety improvements that were represented by the modernization that has already largely been achieved by CTA here. And we were proud to support things like the 95th Street Station with Tiger grants in prior administrations out of the U.S. Department of Transportation. When we think about equity, both in terms of who has access to transit and transportation, and who has access to the jobs that are created by new transit and transportation projects, we know we've got to do better, and that is part of the President's vision and part of this legislation. When it comes to climate, it doesn't have to be called a climate bill to be a climate bill, because transportation is the biggest emitter of greenhouse gases in the U.S. economy, which means every time we give somebody a choice to take quality, safe, effective public transit instead of having to drag 2 tons of metal with them to wherever they're going and park it somewhere, we are also benefiting the President's ambitious climate goals. It's a matter of all of these things taken together. That's why we're so excited about the bipartisan infrastructure framework. It's going to create millions of good-paying American jobs, union jobs, I might add, and it represents the largest investment in public transit in the history of the United States. The largest investment, we're proud of it. the largest investment in passenger rail system creation of Amtrak, the most we've done on roads and bridges in this city of extraordinary and memorable roads and bridges since the Eisenhower administration, and funding for safety, including reducing traffic fatalities that are on the rise right now in this country, and where we've seen a disturbing amount of racial disparity. So we have seen that Chicago understands all of these things. I also want to applaud the decision to move toward electric buses, including the vision to have every single one of the 1,800 buses in this city electric in the future, with help from the FTA's low and no emission grant program. So the point is, I know there's been a lot of talk about infrastructure in this country. I know that Infrastructure Week has come to be, as Representative Krishnamurthy, fellow member of the complicated surname club, put it, is something that sometimes arouses snickers in Washington. But we have a chance to actually do it and to deliver it right here in the south side of Chicago. And when we do, we're going to have a lot to be proud of. So I'm delighted to be here. I admire the work that's going on, and I think we have a little bit of time to take some questions.
Great. Bill Ruthart, the Chicago Tribune. Welcome back to Chicago, Mr. Secretary. From what I understand in this bipartisan package, specific projects are not necessarily laid out. It's up to the locals to fund those. But knowing what you've heard about the extension of the red line today, what would you assess the likelihood of this project being funded if the legislation were passed? And then Mayor Lightfoot, if you could speak to the progress and the design and preparing to get ready for this project, which I know has been the work for quite some time.
So federal support for a project like this would largely come from the Capital Investment Grants Program, the FTA. And this is exactly the kind of project that there would be more resources for if we got this bipartisan framework through. It's part of what we mean when we talk about that largest investment ever. So you're right, the bill's not built on a project-by-project basis. But these are the kinds of things we have in mind, especially as they bear on safety, equity, climate, and jobs all at the same time. There are other funding sources like discretionary grants that would also come into play depending on congressional design. And then I know that President Carter and his colleagues would know how to go after it in this way. So safe to say there's a lot in it for Chicago on this proposed plan. I'll step aside from the mayor to answer the question.
I'm going to do what any smart mayor does, is I'm going to defer to the person who's actually the subject matter expert. I'll let go and take that question.
Thank you. As you may be aware, we have invested already a substantial amount of money in developing this project. It is well through the project development phase, and it is being well positioned to pursue the funding for the federal government in the next year or two. So I'm confident that we're going to be in a position to get the money. Those of you who know me know that I'm really good at getting money from the federal government, and this project is a top priority for me. So we're looking forward to working with the Secretary and getting the money.
And let me just add that, one of the things that President Carter and I have talked about in our teams is we've got to make sure that we're working in partnership together. We've seen when you make investments in development, what happens if you're not thoughtful about the consequences of that development on the surrounding community. So we will be working in partnership. The city will also be investing its dollars alongside of the dollars that come to the CTA so that the communities of those 4 stops going to 130th Street really also benefit in the surrounding area with equitable transportation-oriented development, making sure that retail is there, streetscapes, and all the other things that are really going to enhance the investment of the red line. So it can't just be we're going to put dollars in to get the red line extended. We've got to think holistically about how we really make catalytic investments along that. Other.
Yeah, Megan Dwyer, WGNT. Mr. Secretary, I'm curious if any part of this package speaks about high-speed rail or light rail. It's great to put money into dilapidated infrastructure, but anything toward the future here that could benefit Chicago?
Absolutely. As you know, we've got a lot of work to do just to shore up what we've got. So that's unquestionably part of what we would need to look for the rail funds for. But this is also about looking to the future. In this administration, I know that I can only ever be the second biggest passenger rail enthusiast, but I work hard to make it a close second. And like the president, like so many Americans, I believe that we as a country shouldn't put up with being unable to access the level of rail service that people in most developed countries will take for granted. What does that actually look like? Well, in the context of the funding that we have, we think there would be enough to establish about 3 kind of showcase intercity high-speed rail corridors, as well as upgrading and improving some of the railway. Proving that the United States can in fact do high-speed rail as well or better than anyone, and creating a foundation for a future network that we can build.
Would Chicago be in one of
What's
those?
that? Again, we don't design this on a project-by-project basis, but let me say this. Some folks who are pessimistic about our rail potential, we know this country, and certainly this region, we're built on rail. Some people say, well, the U.S. can't do it because we're not, we don't have the same density as Europe or the other. And maybe as a country, we don't, but the Midwest sure does. It has some of the very same patterns in terms of city. Imagine what it would mean in Chicago. And just to take some examples, if Chicago and Louisville and Toledo and Detroit and St. Louis and Minneapolis were all connected in city pairs that you could get across in about a couple of hours at a time. That vision, I think, is eminently possible in this country if we invest in it. And the beginning of that investment is contemplated not just in the president's vision, but what made it into that infrastructure framework.
Thank you. Mayor, my second question is for you. Do you hope to have any of this money earmarked for updating how people get from our airports to the loop, so we don't just have Uber, taxi, or the train?
So we're working on plans now, and having lots of conversations. Some of you know there are lines that run from Fulton Market